talk about career complacency. Who listened? By the way, no judgment. If you didn't listen, no judgment. But let me know in chat. Did you listen? Did it spark any thoughts? Did anything particularly stick? Becca just squeezed it in. Didn't it would apply to me? Oh boy, yes. I mean, I'm going to give you the career complacency red flags in a minute, because I would be like, oh, I'm not complacent, and I was like, well, maybe a couple of these red flags actually apply to me. So we'll go through that. So we listened, person, get others on board and fired up. Yeah. Oh, good. I was talking to my husband this morning and I was like, I think, and he's like, I would say he's a high performer, very good at his job. But I was like, just because you're doing a good job doesn't mean you're not being complacent about your career. I think he was like, Helen, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. We're on the train. Let's not do this now. But we can do this because we've opted in to be here. He hadn't really opted in for the career chat. It's a good poke. Good, Susan. We like to be your little pokey career friend. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through the red flags, particularly for anybody that maybe didn't listen, or just kind of maybe to have a just think about which red flags might apply to you. And then we'll go through the ideas, and I'm just going to try and bring the ideas to life a little bit and also get your perspectives on them. What this might look like for you, any other thoughts that you've got. So felt I wasn't complacent, but listening to checklist, yeah, that was my insight, Camilla. I was like, I'm not complacent. Maybe I am. So these are the red flags. I'm going to go through them. Maybe just think about how many of these red flags apply to you. And then what I might do in chat is I might just put like 1 flag, 2 flag, 3 flags, 4 flags, and then just give me a vote, like give me the thumbs up on how many of the red flags apply to you. It'll make sense when we get there. So red flag number 1 was you're using same again skills, i.e. day in, day out, your work is relying on the same skills and talents. Like you're not necessarily using them in new ways or sort of testing and learning with new abilities. Feels very samey from a skill set perspective. So that's the first one. Second one is your role feels like it's on repeat. So your Monday, like this might be some of you, so please don't take this the wrong way, but you know how some people are very organized about their life, and on Monday night it's like scrambled eggs, on Tuesday night it's falafel and hummus, on Wednesday night it's ratatouille, I don't know, whatever your thing is, but it's like every day, you know what you're having for dinner tonight. To be fair, all I eat is falafel and hummus, so I think that's all I eat, really. However, that kind of like routine way, it's not that routine is bad, but it can lead to complacency if you are over reliant on routine. So if your Monday feels like last Monday and your Thursday feels like last Thursday, same, then it might be that you're just operating on autopilot in terms of the work that you're doing. That's not useful for careers in terms of complacency. Your day job always trumps your development. So of course, sometimes your day job trumps your development, like mine often trumps my development. But if you never go, no, I'm going to press pause on my day-to-day priorities because I actually want to think about my progression. If that conversation never enters your head or your reality, then that's a bit of a risk. If we're always going day job, reminds me of Sarah saying not to live the same year twice. Yeah, exactly that. This is almost like same week. I mean, the same year twice. That's definitely career complacency. Definitely. Comfortable colleagues. Now, again, it is not bad that you are comfortable with your colleagues, but in the context of career complacency, if you are not having conversations with people who have got different perspectives to you. So actually, this is like what I was saying about Bruce. Bruce is really challenging. Whenever I talk to Bruce, I'm like, that's a different perspective. And we don't always agree, but I really appreciate the challenge. So he's not someone I spend time with every day, and he's not somebody who has the same insight and experience as me. And actually, sometimes it's uncomfortable because I'll be like, oh, he really challenges me. But that's what you need. Otherwise, you end up in a bit of a bubble with people who think like you and have similar experiences to you, and you all kind of reinforce each other's careers rather than going beyond the bubble and having some challenging conversations with people who've got different perspectives and experiences. So I'm going to put in here, can I find a flag? Hang on, everybody, find an emoji. Can I find a flag? Okay, here we go. 1 flag, sorry, this is really slow, everybody, but I want to do these flags. So if you've got one of those flags applies to you, we'll do, give me a thumbs up on 1 flag. If you've got 2 flags, if you've got 3 flags, that's quite fun, this. If you've got 4 flags, glad we're stopping there. A bit boring, everybody. Give me a thumbs up. By the way, can anyone hear that crackling in the background? There's a screen going crazy. Can you hear it? There's a screen going crazy behind me. All right, well, we got everyone. How many flags have we got? What feels flagtastic? Lots of people. Yeah, it's interesting. So a couple of people just with 1. Majority of people have got 2 flags, but quite a lot of us with 4 flags. So that's the thing. I think sometimes you might think, oh, I'm not complacent because I do a good job and I'm really committed. But I think career complacency, I think, is different to job complacency. And obviously we're thinking about you and your career, beyond where you are today. Okay, so what we are going to do now is dive into some of the ideas we talked about, and I'm just going to try and bring them to life with some examples, and then get you to think about what your answers would be and any other perspectives that you have got on it. So we've got five ideas to go through. Number 1 is to create yourself some career inspiration, and I'll explain who these lovely people are in a second. So if you are complacent, sometimes you need a little bit of, I think, like a bit of energy, a bit of inspiration to be like, well, what does better than this look like for me? And I think, the whole, if you can't see it, you can't be it, I think. And so sometimes you are not presented with those people, and so you have to find them. And I don't think you have to necessarily know them. I don't think, like, you can just find some career inspiration from outside your current career community. So these are 2 people that inspire me. This is lovely Lemon. She's in a community that I'm part of called EY Winning Women. And the reason I like Lemon, so this is her. She went to 10 Downing Street for, I think it's called By Women Built. It's a community of female entrepreneurs who've got product-based businesses. Lemon has a business called Lemonade Dolls. It's sustainable, inclusive lingerie, worth a follow on LinkedIn. But the reason I find Lemon inspiring is she's cheeky and challenging. So look, she put her pants on the door of 10 Downing Street. But only Lemon would do that. But only Lemon would do that, is kind of how I think about her. She's always trying stuff out. She's very, very authentic. And I also know some bits about how she's growing that business behind the scenes. And I really admire her ambition and commitment and bravery in building her business. So I would just write down those words ambition, commitment, bravery. She's a little bit cheeky. She's a little bit naughty about things. And then the other person that I really admire is June Sarpong. And I met June a couple of times, and she's absolutely lovely in person, but I almost admire her for some of the stuff that I see rather than the conversations I've had with her. We had some good chats about food. She's very into nutrition. But it's what I see. I think she aligns her work around creativity and inclusion. And what I really admire is she vocally stands up for what she believes, so there's, I see her advocating for others in some of the roles that she's done, in some of the ambassador sort of things that she's done. And I just really admire it. That person who uses their profile to drive change and support other people. So I would just be writing all these things down, and that helps me to think about, well, beyond a job title, because what does that actually mean anyway? What's the kind of career that I want to have? And you can kind of collect some of that insight from this inspiration. Hope that makes sense. How do I know? Yeah, she was Channel 4 in the 90s. June's a legend. That's another thing. She's like the Madonna of careers. I feel she's done so many different things, and she's stayed so relevant. Yeah, I could, I'm a fan. I could go on about all day. Who do you admire, everybody? Who would you might not have you might not have thought it through like I have there, but who do you think would go give you some career inspiration? Whose career do you admire and that you think you could learn from? Who do you think? Sam's saying, I worked with someone who started as a lawyer, then was a policy person, now as a leadership, and now, oh, that's super squiggly. That's a super squiggler. I've been so hung up on job titles. Yeah, absolutely. And Onyeka, the job title thing, it really does limit you, and it limits your career conversations, because and your your perspective on your progression. So I think this is a really good way of completely taking the whole job title thing away. I have no idea what June's job title is. No idea. Sorry if you can hear this crackling, everyone. Sounds like something's exploding. Oh, it's horrible. Can you hear it? No. Sometimes, great. I'm just going to stop going on about it. You know how like Zoom mutes out noise? It does sound like it's exploding, but Kirsty Heap, neurodiversity coach, brilliant. Jo Malone. I love Jo Malone, Dan. I've seen her speak a few times. She's brilliant. I love her founder story, like making candles on a kitchen table. I love her marketing approach. She used to do walking the dogs. Everyone heard about Jo Malone? When her business first started, she had a shop on Sloane Square, and they had all their lovely branded bags. I feel like Jo Malone was the pioneer of beautifully, like, you know, branded cardboard bags. And she used to get her staff, she used to call it walking the dogs, and to wear the bags down the high street, up and down, and they'd just spray them with perfume so that people would be like, where are those fancy bags? Look at those amazing smelling people. Clever marketing, clever marketing. I should get all of you guys just like walking around with a squiggly book. Maybe, yeah. Gosh, that's an idea. We could have a day of guerrilla marketing where you like the PodPlusers all like take something squiggly with them. Don't get distracted. The co-founders of Library and Things. I don't think I know Library and Things, so I think I might need to look that up after today. We could do that ahead of the day. We could do that ahead of the day event. Oh, that's exciting, Claire. Hold that idea. Oh, that's very sweet of you. I've actually got to go on a podcast today and talk about my career. I'm quite nervous. Not our podcast, different one. Jazz Shapers podcast. Yeah, always quite nervous. Can I have a squiggly icon? Yes, maybe we could do a squiggly takeover day. This might be fun. I need to stop getting distracted. Oh my gosh. I was going to say, John, yes. Very, very, very up there. Okay, next one. Experiments. So experiments are a good way. They're a really good forcing function for you to do something a bit different. So obviously, if you're being a bit complacent with your career, which many of us are, it's, you know, we're okay admitting that. It means we've got stuck in a bit same again, right? Roll and repeat, same again skills, that kind of stuff. And so experiments are a little bit of a forcing function for you to use your skills in a slightly different way, to do something different in your day-to-day, that kind of thing. So for example, these are just three of my examples because I'm trying to kind of force a bit of this into my work. One of mine, I realized I hadn't made any like videos for a while. I think I've been doing one type of work quite a lot in my job. And I realized that I hadn't made content myself. Like Vivi in our team makes loads of content. Also, if anyone knows anybody who wants to do her maternity leave role, we've got 2 days left for people to apply for that. But Vivi makes awesome content. And I realized I'd probably become a bit de-skilled. So about 3 weeks ago, I started, I was trying to find a good bit of tech so I could make videos again and build up my bravery again with it. Because when you haven't done it for a while, like it's hard, and B, you like doubt whether it's any good when you've done it. And so I'm just trying to, you know, stretch my skills a bit. So I downloaded CapCut and I've started making some videos again. And that's, you know, my de-skilling hopefully is now redeveloping. So that's one thing I've been experimenting with. And then also because Vivi's on holiday this week, I was doing the pod sheet. So I think a good way of experimenting is if somebody in your team is on holiday, actually saying, well, I'll pick up that thing that you do. That's quite an easy way to experiment with something. And so, I mean, I've done pod sheets for a while, but just as an example, yeah, if there's any typos in this week's pod sheet, that's because I've done it. And detail is not my thing. But I think when people are on holiday, that is a good time to maybe stretch your strengths because it's an easy way to pick up some new work. And then, that's cool about Michael Mosley. And then this, I'm just going to keep repeating this, everybody. The Career Collective. That's an experiment. I don't know. I don't know how that conversation is going to go. I have no idea. We've never done that before. But the worst thing that you can do is learn, right? And that's you know, learning is anti-complacency anyway. So, you know, you might learn and it might be brilliant, amazing. You might learn and you might not do it again. Also okay. But experiments are a forcing function for learning, and they definitely kind of stop you getting stuck in complacency. Has anyone else been experimenting with anything lately? Any kind of experiments? Jess is doing her first live drawing session tonight. That's exactly what I mean. Nice bit of experimenting. What else, everybody? Any other experiments? Thanks for sharing Vivi's role, Sarah. I'm part of it's a collective. Did a bee meeting today and didn't take slides. Scary, but it worked. Brilliant. Lots of people ask us, Rebecca, about like what app are you using? And it's just paper from WeTransfer. It's free. But I think that's always quite an interesting thing people experiment with, drawing. And you don't have to completely draw. Like I do a bit of drawing and I do a bit of like screenshotting. But maybe experiment with that. What else? Using the Atoms Act to track new habits, using AI to write comms. Yeah, maybe. I'll tell you what an experiment would be as well. Like, I think lots of people use ChatGPT when they're using AI, but also there's another one that I quite like swapping between is Perplexity. I don't know if any of you have used that. Similar to ChatGPT, but I sometimes like comparing what their answers are. Did my first in-person public speaking gig in a while. Well done. Yeah, Emma, like that often we become de-skilled when we're not conscious of what we're doing. I think we don't realize what we've stopped or what we're doing on repeat. So brilliant that you did that. Well done. Journaling, Luciana. Vivi loves journaling. If you ever want any tips, message her. She loves the journaling. She did this cool thing on her own channel where she journaled, but she was just recording herself journaling, and she sort of invited people to journal with her. So, like a bit of accountability, like you went there at a certain time. She wasn't showing what she was journaling. She was just saying, I'm going to journal for the next 10, 15 minutes. If you want, the accountability of journaling, then sort of join me. And I think she did like an Instagram live, and she was just very soothing. Very soothing. On to the next one, everybody. Ambition allies. So these are people that are investing in their development. They're proactive with their learning. Maybe there's something specific in their career that they're working on. It's really good to buddy up with these people because they keep you committed to your career. If you're feeling complacent, ambition allies keep you committed. This is an example of one of my ambition allies. It's great. It's a guy called Ben Brooks, who is based in the US. And I met him last year at a conference that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And Ben is so on it. Like, we're going to the same conference again this year, and he wants to have a call before we go so that we can align on our strategy for the conference. I mean, I was just going to go and have some fun, meet people and do a bit of learning. But now I'm like, right, I need a strategy for my conference approach. But I wouldn't have done that. I would just rock up and be like, oh, here are my events, and I'm going to write my what, say what, now what, and share it. But he's way more strategic. Ben is very, very on it. But I think that will make me more ambitious about how I approach that particular thing. And yeah, think about those people. He's just kind of one example. I think Sarah, Sarah's an obvious one for me as well. Sarah's been my ambition ally for a very long time. But again, I think it's good to have some different people in the mix. Yeah, I know, Claire, really interesting. Ben really thinks about it in a way that I don't. I was like, oh, but obviously this is a once a year event, probably not a bad end, and it takes time out of our business and it costs our business money. So I actually think it probably makes sense to do it in that way. I'll still have some fun. Who is your ambition ally, everybody? Has anyone got one of these sort of buddies that keeps you committed to your development? I kind of hope we can be ambition allies as well, kind of like, kind of subtle allies. But I think sometimes it's nice to have like very specific people. Anyone got one of these? My manager, Anna, that's great. That's great. I don't think everyone would say their manager was their ambition ally, so great. I love that. So you did the sprint with a colleague last year, but we got busy. Well, doesn't mean you can't do it again. You can do it whenever you want, Rebecca. You can pick up the sprint now. Also, I'm working really hard on something good for January. I'm working really hard to make it happen, which will be for the Squiggly Career Podcast community. It'll be a campaign for January, and I think it's going to happen. It was last night was the can we do it? But it'll be good. It's like sprint times 10 in terms of, and it's only for January, not in terms of how many things you need to learn, but it'll be good. Need the buddy thing, brilliant. My little brother, on paper he's less qualified to me. I love that you've just said that about your brother. On paper he's really not as good as me, but he's been promoted 3 times in 5 years and he has the big bucks now. That's lovely. Go little brother. Sprint times 10, intriguing. Yeah, you wait. Not times 10 in volume. You're like, there was already one a day, Helen. Like, how many can you do in a day? It's not that, just in terms of Well, you'll see. You'll have to wait and see. And also, I need to just make sure that we're definitely going to do it. I think we are. Okay, what have we got? Two more. Resistance goals. So this was Sarah's idea. I thought it was a really interesting one. She'd seen some research about this value of resistance goals, which is can be a bit of a sort of a stimulator for your learning. So the idea is you take something that feels a bit difficult, so you might avoid it. So what feels difficult for me? What feels difficult for me? I don't know. Improving things sometimes, like, because I like creating new stuff all the time. So if I was to go back and spend a day improving what we've already done, I would find that quite hard because I like creating lots of new stuff. So I find that difficult. Or something else that might be a source of resistant goal would be like, well, that's not my job. I don't do that because that's not my job. So for example, the process, I don't know, the payment process for our business, our finance manager will get terrified if I tried to work on that. But something that we'd be like, that's not my job. I don't do that. And the idea would be, it's a short-term resistance goal. So I would go, okay, over the next week, I'm going to get up to speed on our finance payment process and see if I can improve it. Or I'm going to dive into our CRM system and generate some insights and identify some ideas for how we could use it. I don't know, that I would kind of go, not my job. And so I wouldn't normally dive in there, but I could, and it might create a new thing for my development. Or, something that I might find sort of difficult to do might be, I don't know, what would I find difficult to do? Probably I'll tell you what I probably would find difficult. We've got a lot of video content, and I could probably, if I spent a day or two going through all of that, I reckon I could find some useful new uses for it. But because I'm not a looking back person, I would find that difficult to do. But equally, if I said over the next week, I'm going to spend 5 hours looking at our kind of video content and find ways that we could reuse, make it more useful, that would be a short-term resistance goal. So it can often help you spot stuff that you're not seeing, because we often opt for what we've always do or what feels easy to do. So might be a way that you could identify. And then the last one is learning to look forward to. So this is about having things in your diary which interrupt your complacency. I once read about this research on Pringles. It's just random, just bear with me. So the whole like once you pop you can't stop thing with Pringles. They put a red Pringle in the packet, and the red Pringle acted as an interrupter for someone who was just popped and couldn't stop, like just eating. And the red Pringle basically triggers our brain and goes, oh my gosh, I've eaten 2/3 of a tube, I should probably stop. And I think learning to look forward to is also a interrupter of complacency. So if you have a date in your diary, if you plan it in, suddenly I think you remember that learning is good and enjoyable and stimulating. And I think it's like the red Pringle in the tube. If you put this in your diary, I think it interrupts the autopilot. And so, for example, I went to one recently that I definitely could have not done, which was a brilliant day from a community that I'm part of called the Marketing Academy. And it was a rebellion boot camp. Brilliant. Had this really came out really happy after I've done that. And it made me think I need to do more of that. That was worth my time. And then I've also got, this is the conference that I mentioned, the one with Ben, that I need to be, strategic about, the Strategic Growth Forum. This is in my diary, and this will be an interrupter of the tube of Pringles that is my work. And so I think you look forward to these, and then I think it really acts as a moment where you realize that complacency isn't good, and learning helps you and your future. So everybody, that's it. We just need to go and do this stuff. We just need to go find our ambition allies, collect some career inspiration, put learning to look forward to in our diaries, and then career complacency will not hold us back.